Hello, welcome back to episode 11 of It's a Book, and today's title is Harlequin Romance Novels Ruined My Life. This is gonna be fun. I started reading Harlequin romance novels at an early age. They were in abundance at the library near my house, and it made for quick and easy reading. The stories were engaging and predictable. There was always a beautiful, headstrong heroine and a handsome, deeply flawed hero who came from different sides of the tracks, but they were finding themselves forced together after a peculiar set of circumstances. Um, the books were formulaic in structure. There was a problem, and the author would carefully display both the heroine and the hero's placement in the story in relation to the conflict. And the best stories would unfold when the hero and heroine were on opposite sides of the conflict, but through love and burgeoning respect for one another, they would fall in love and become a team. They always do it, and by it, I mean it. And it's always super steamy and passionate. And, reading those books helped me develop unrealistic and somewhat unhealthy expectations of what relationships are supposed to look like. And I didn't realize this until about 10 years ago, and I saw that I was subconsciously wanting to be tamed and to do some taming of my own. But what I found is that sometimes exceptionally difficult people are just that. Let me say that again. Sometimes exceptionally difficult people are just that. They don't need unpeeling. They don't need taming. If someone isn't willing to do work to better themselves, by themselves, for themselves, it's usually a foreshadowing of a not so happy ending. And it doesn't just go for the other person, it goes for yourself as well. Nevertheless, those years where I consumed Harlequin romance novels like gummy bears was a fun time. My experience with real boys was limited, and I love getting lost in the fantasy of historical fiction. I had a friend in high school with whom I trade books. After school, we had long commutes uptown on the subway, so the minute we can snag a seat, we would dive into our chapters of our respective books, and I remember my friend would hide the covers of her novels because they were so racy and embarrassing, like a lot of ripped bodices and half-tied corsets, and the guys had all these greasy chests, and it was just smut, but I loved it. As I got older and my tastes became more refined, I found myself looking for characters in books whose life experiences were adjacent to my own. Like I said, I didn't live the exciting lives that the characters in the novels I read led, but when I discovered books by Black authors, I stopped kind of fantasizing about the sexy pirate with the patch over his eye, and I kind of started getting into like the charming hustler who lived a fast, dangerous life and had like nice cars and flashy jewelry, pretty much somebody from Harlem, okay? But I just devoured books by Omar, Tyree, Sister Souljah, Teri Woods, Elin Harris, Zane. She wrote really steamy, passionate, like mature erotica, and I didn't read her work religiously, but it was definitely like in a different class than Harlequin writing. But my peers and I passed these books around like trading cards, and whenever anyone said the names of like iconic characters like Midnight or the Pussy Pound, we all knew what was up. It was a good time to be a reader. There were a lot of independent authors, and you can go to like 125th, and there would be tables set up with all these books for sale. And that's how I discovered True to the Game, and other novels that I not necessarily would see in Barnes and Nobles, but you would just see them around town, like people reading them on the train, people carrying them in their hands as they're going to and fro. And I guess that was the first time I started thinking about traditional book publishing, because a lot of the authors of these books did not have traditional publishing deals and were pretty much doing it on their own and relying on sales and word of mouth around town to boost their profile. So that was an introduction to traditional publishing for me. But anyway, I digress. But anyway, as far as those stories went, unlike Harlequin romance novels, they didn't always have happy endings, but to me, this made them more entertaining and more realistic, and those are the days. All right, so before I sign off, I wanted to mention that it is the 20th anniversary of the theatrical release of The Best Man. It is a romantic comedy starring Morris Chestnut, Nia Long, and Taye Diggs. I remember going to see it with my friends at a movie theater, and it doesn't seem that long ago, but if it's celebrating its 20th anniversary, that means that it is a really long time ago. It was a beautifully casted movie about love, college, growth, and how friendships blossom and change. And I saw it at a time of my life when I was full of hope and uncertainty. And whenever I catch The Best Man on television, it always reminds me of simpler times, and it's a must-see for nostalgia alone. So if you have the chance, go check it out. And if you want to learn more about the stories that I read when I was growing up, mainly high school years, check out the link in the bio. I'll add that information there. Bye.